And welcome back to Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jono Chirumbolo, and my co-host, Chris Sapanis, here to kick off our first official big mock draft. We had our way too early one before, but today we've got a couple guests with us to do an official mock draft, and we're excited about it. It's some league mates, some competitive nature here as well, so I hope you guys like it. You have anything to say before we jump in?
The Spark Athletes.
Yeah, we got some Spark Athletes with us. That being said, let's jump into it. All right, and welcome into our mock draft here. Here with us, as always, is Chris, and then we've got Nick and Jesse, two ruthless league mates of ours, here to put a little bit of competition in this mock draft for us. So Chris and I talked about prior to this mock draft, maybe giving everybody a little bit of a view of what one of the draft strategies could be. And depending upon how things go at the 12 spot for me, I'll talk a little bit which way I'm going to go in that. And same thing with Chris. Chris is prime real estate for another draft strategy, and he'll talk about it when it gets to his pick. So that being said, why don't we kick this thing off, gentlemen? Cheers.
Good. Cheers. Let's go.
Prost.
Yep.
By the way, I'm drinking an 11% hazelnut buttercup pastry stout from Untitled Art. Anybody else want to share what they got?
What I have is an orange chocolate fondue sour from Tripping Animals.
I love them. Jesse, what do you
I'm drinking a double hazy IPA from Electric Brewing Company. Looks like it's 8.5%. It is tasty.
That's that Cali, bro. And I saw H2O
Cali,
over there for you.
We got some H2O, but I did just come back from the bar.
Okay. Well, there's no pressure.
Who's it by?
He's had a few beers. He's ready.
Had a tasty coconut lime lager. Since we're all naming them off, it was from Bonehook here in Naples, Florida. Go try it out.
Great. Well, cheers. Let's start it up. Draft is beginning. And we got Team 1 going Justin Jefferson, followed by McCaffrey, Eckler, Jamar Chase, and Jesse on the clock. 2 RBs, 2 wide receivers have gone already.
Right. So got to love the 5 spot. 2 of the elite wide receivers, 2 of the elite running backs off the board. So for me, I am really liking one player in particular who year after year has been unbelievable. I've always been hesitant to take a tight end in the first round, but based on the stats that Travis Kelce has had and the consistency that he's had, you can look over the last few seasons. Most teams who have won a fantasy championship have had Travis Kelce on their team. So I'm not going to hesitate at 5. At the 5th pick to go with Travis Kelce to start off.
Here we go.
It's true. Travis Kelce did help me win a championship.
He helped me win a championship too.
Allegedly.
Team 6 goes Bijan Robinson. Chris, you're on the clock. What strategy are you going to try to employ for this draft today?
Yeah, so my strategy that I'm going to kind of show you guys kind of what a draft could look like. Using this strategy is going to be a 0 running back. So I am actively not drafting a running back until minimally the 5th round. So that being said, there's 2 wide receivers on the board that I absolutely love. There's Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill. Now, this is a tough decision for me because I absolutely love Tyreek Hill this year. I think if Tua stays healthy, we saw what he did with Tua not healthy last year. But if Tua stays healthy this year, he can be the receiving leader by a long shot. He had 1,700 yards receiving last year, and Tua missed 7 games. And so add 7 games to that, and he can get 300 more yards. But I love Cooper Kupp. I think with the healthy Stafford, with Cooper Kupp coming back healthy, year after year, they've been really consistent. Even before Kupp got hurt, you saw what he was doing last year, where it's multi-touchdown games, 100-yard games, every game, 10 receptions, 100 yards. I mean, he's ultra-targeted by Stafford. So
there he goes.
It auto-picked me Cooper Kupp. That was who I was going to go anyway.
I was going to say you were a little long-winded there, but that being said, Tyreek Hill goes right after, so team 8 had the same thought process as you. Jonathan Taylor at 9. Nick, you're up at the 10 spot. What do you like?
What I like here would have been Tyreek Hill, who got taken 2 picks right in front of my face. But I'm looking at what's here for me and the things that I'm able to do with the receivers that are left here. And I think I'm gonna jump up on AJ Brown.
I like that pick. The guy was a stud last year in a brand new team. There's no reason for him to grow even more.
Now, there's a part 2 to that, which I won't reveal at this moment, but it'll all start to make sense in the coming rounds.
So at the 12 spot here, what I want to do is I want to grab a quarterback early. I'm going to try and go with that draft strategy. It's one of the ones we talked about too, is they're the highest scoring position in fantasy football. So if you can grab one of the highest scorers in that position early on, you have yourself set. Similar thought process as Jesse did with Travis Kelce, is grabbing this quarterback early. Now, it would have been loved to be able to pair this quarterback with Travis Kelce, but I cannot. But that being said, I am going to go with Pat Mahomes here. And since I have 2 picks in a row, it doesn't matter whether you take them in the first or the second round. So my second pick here after going Mahomes, because I'm at the end of the second round, or at the end of the third round coming back up, I've got 24 more picks after this pick. I want to lock in a solid running back. And this guy's ranked number 3 in my running back rankings for the season. And I'm going to take Nick Chubb here, knowing that I've got my hero running back if nobody else comes back to me that I really like.
He's got a Chubb.
I got a Chubb.
He's got a Chubb.
CeeDee Lamb goes after Chubb, and it's back to Nicky at the 10 spot. What are you doing with A.J. Brown? You kind of alluded to it. I think I know where you're going to go.
I kind of alluded to it, and I think it kind of establishes a couple different themes here for me. One being something I don't know if you guys are into here at the Standard, but I'm gonna drop it right in your face. Actually, I know you are. Chris did a similar variation here, and that's Jalen Hurts. And what that allows me to do is to just jump up, take the guy that I like at that elite level at the quarterback position, rather than having to wait on somebody I don't like later on, since I'm picking him this early. But I like that stack a lot to start out.
It's a great stack. Plus, it kind of goes in line with that early quarterback that I'm doing. It's another variation of doing it, is if you are at the 10, 11, 9 spot, you can still get that quarterback early in the draft in that second round and get a stud in that first round. Devontae Adams goes after Josh Jacobs. Chris with a minute on the clock. Starts with Cup. He's got zero RB. What are we doing here?
So I lied. I am going to go get a running back.
Okay.
But the thing is, this running back plays quarterback, and with Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes coming off the board, and Josh Allen dropping all the way to the second round to me, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm going to go and stack that position, and I'm going to go get one of my top 3 rated players at the quarterback position, and so I'm going to go Josh Allen here.
Well, looks like it was one of those things that we talked about too a while ago in one of our episodes, Chris, and that was being kind of be the trend setter, be the starter of a trend and not the finisher. And being Mahomes, Hurts, Allen off the board, we got ourselves locked in there, just like Jesse has his tight end locked in. Now he's got his tight end. What does he do in the second round? Henry goes after Allen.
Right. So if you go tight end in the first round, now you're starting to hopefully not panic and wonder if you're going to go running back or wide receiver. So my advice is to stay calm and just look at some of those playmakers out there in the second round. Stephon Diggs is sitting there, Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's even some really good running backs still. So for me, having a couple of those running backs like Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry go right in front of me, and Diggs came to me, I just got to go for Diggs.
I like it. Smart, big playmaker, high volume. Garrett, 3 other wide receivers go after you.
And look at that right there. And
exactly.
We literally.
So 3 wide receivers: Wilson, St. Brown, Waddle, Andrews, Hall, Etienne, Stevenson, and Harris. 4 running backs to start the third round.
Yeah, Chris, what were you going to say? You can go ahead and jump in before I make my pick.
Yeah, so you said you're thinking I'm going to go get the wide receiver I like, or I'm going to go get the running back I like, and then you see a run 4 straight wide receivers. And then coming back, you just saw 4 straight running backs. And so now, you have to, again, it's going with being the trendsetter, not being at the tail end of it. Is
Right.
like, if you see a guy there that you want, go and get him.
Yeah.
Like, why wait and get a guy that you're going to settle for rather than someone you absolutely love?
Sure, Diggs is the proven guy. I mean, I love Garrett Wilson this year, top 5 potential. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle. But then those running back run went. You have Brees Hall, Travis Etienne, Stevenson, Najee Harris. And then I'm looking there and I'm like, hey, I want to grab a running back. I want to get one of those elite guys before they're gone. I want to get that RB1. That's Tony Pollard. So now I have a little more balance on my team. I got Pollard, Stephon Diggs, and Travis Kelce. I feel like that's a good start. And then hopefully we'll see what comes back to me in the 4th round to keep building on that.
So Devonta Smith going after for team 6. Chris, you are up.
Yeah, this is like my favorite 3rd round draft pick right now is T. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
I if he falls to the 3rd round to me, I'm going to be so happy, because he's just such an elite wide receiver. I mean, again, we've talked about it in other videos. Is he's a 1B to Jamar Chase's 1A. Like, he's not the number 2 there. Like, he's just as good, and people disrespect him. And to get him in the 3rd round, I have potential wide receiver 1 in the 3rd round there.
Joe Burrow, his quarterback, follows afterwards. Team 9 takes Chris Olave. Nick on the clock. Got A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, stack, no running back. What are you doing here?
What I'm doing here is taking
Stacking.
my
Stacking.
what's that?
Keep stacking.
So we're going to diverge from the stack immediately. We're going to go ahead and take my favorite 3rd round player so far right now at his ADP, which is Dalvin Cook. I think that's a steal right there, especially after you saw the slew of people that went in the beginning of the 3rd round. And talking about disrespect, there's a lot of disrespect on his name right now. So I'll gladly take him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker goes afterwards. Me sitting here, I've got my early quarterback. I've got like I said, I can treat Nick Chubb as a hero running back if I want to right now. And in that case, the value at wide receiver is really good, but there is somebody out there that could be a solid running back too that I'm teetering on possibly taking here. However, I think if I could stack 2 good wide receivers now and lock in my 1 and 2, I know I can still get value at a running back in that 5th or 6th round or 5th round. There's a couple guys that I'd like. So I'm going to start off with Keenan Allen, tried and true, steady Eddie Allen. And I'm going to follow up with a guy that is also not getting enough respect, that is probably going to have a better year, and he finished within the top 10 this past year, now that Deshaun Watson has a full season to work with him. And that's Amari Cooper. And so I'm going to go Allen and Cooper back-to-back, lock myself in 2 solid receivers.
And then DK goes right after that.
Nick on the clock. He's got 1 of each. What does he do?
Well, I've got 1 of each, and then there are 2 players here remaining that I think shouldn't be here. That's George Kittle at tight end, and then that's D-Hop. Just in terms of positional advantage, I'm going to go George Kittle here in the 4th and feel really nice about it.
I do agree with your take on D-Hop. If D-Hop's fallen to the 4th round, regardless of what team he's on, you gotta snag him. It's like if Travis Kelce falls to the 2nd round to somebody, you gotta snag him because it's value. Take value where you can get it. Lamar Jackson goes afterwards, and then Deebo Samuel to team 8. Chris, you're up.
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna implore the same strategy and I'm actually, I was thinking that Kittle was gonna come to me, and T.J. Hawkinson got passed up over for Kittle, and I think Hawkinson is a great value this year, and to get him in the 4th round, he's kind of the last of my tight ends that I'd be willing to spend a top 4 pick on. Mm-hmm. And so getting him here in the 4th round in a 0 running back strategy is, I'm going to lock up my QB 1, I'm going to lock up my tight end 1, and I just locked in 2 wide receivers that I can start week in, week out.
I like it. And I believe Minnesota, and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe Minnesota was top 3 for targets to the tight end last year. So to get a guy in that caliber, it's going to be a volume play for him. I know Addison may eat into that a little bit, but the guy still makes mismatches. He's a great tight end. D-Hop goes next, as he should. I actually sat there between D-Hop and Cooper. I just like the potential of that Browns offense this year. Jesse, you're up.
Yep. So looking at the 4th pick here on my team, we'll see if this will play out. I mean, it's June 29th right now, obviously, so this is pretty early to draft, but it's like Joe Mixon's just staring at me in the 4th round, so it's like, how do I not take a chance on Joe Mixon? I know he's had some legal troubles. Maybe I'll name my team Smooth Criminal, but I'm going to go with someone who is been maybe a little bit more consistent than Aaron Jones. And then obviously there's some questions about Jahmyr Gibbs. So for me, I'd rather go with Joe Mixon on this June draft, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and the thing about Joe Mixon to think about is if legal troubles go behind him and nothing comes of it, it's the same thing with Kamara. If he ends up getting a 2-game suspension versus a season-long suspension, it's a wildly different place you're going to draft him in. Same thing with Hopkins and Cook. Like, Cook should be in 2nd round. Hopkins should be in the 3rd round, just based on the caliber they are. We're drafting them because we don't know what team they're on, but we're still drafting their value. And Mixon is a value pick at the 4th round. I think it's a great pick. Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs go afterwards. Herbert off the board.
Standard round. That's a great team name.
Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, then J.K. Dobbins, DJ Moore, and another quarterback, Justin Fields, right before you.
Yeah, so speaking of all that, I'm just going to shoot my shot right here.
Brian Robinson Jr.?
Yeah. Might have to wait a couple rounds, if you know what I mean, for Brian Robinson, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it. Yeah, if you get shot, you might get Dameon Pierce. Yeah, wow, what a good year last year by Dameon Pierce. I mean, so explosive, breaks tackles. This guy was an absolute monster. I know they brought in Singletary, but like a 5th round pick, my flex, feeling pretty happy about that new offense down there in Houston with Stroud. So I think that's a good flex.
Yeah, as if that's your flex play, I like it a lot because we know what his floor could probably be. So Drake London goes afterwards, and Chris back on the board. This is your 5th round. Is going 0 RB.
And this is kind of I'm even debating here whether I even want to go running back. So there's still some guys I like receiver wise that I think that I can get probably in the round after. And I'm looking at running back, like I'm really torn because I don't want one of these guys to fall outside of the range that I want to get him. Which like if there goes a run the next couple picks on running backs, then I'm going to lose out on these guys who are my 0 running back candidates this year. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Cam Akers here and get my first running back.
Good pick. There's no competition. The guy's got nobody behind him. He's poised to just be the bell cow for the Rams. And I don't care if anybody else comes in. The amount of stake that they have draft capital wise, it's Akers is the guy there. Sony Michel comes in. He's a great backup, but come on. Good pick there, Chris. You got Godwin going afterwards, Christian Watkins, and now to Nick.
So what I'm looking at right now is that I have one receiver. So we're looking to bolster that.
And a running back without a team.
And running back without a team.
What's the June draft?
Which I'm less concerned about. But yeah, that's true. Technically, I don't have
If you can't tell everybody, Chris likes to pick on Nick before, during, and after the season. So
absolute league atrocities in the process to victory.
Because he atrocities that so bad.
You should have sanctions on.
He was the 4th place team last year. Let's be honest. Like he made the semifinals. He's not slouch. So
okay, now listen up. What I'm gonna say right here with this pick is death, taxes, and Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards receiving.
Yep.
The disrespect here with Mike Evans has gone too far. It was going to be a little bit of a difficult decision because Chris Godwin was a guy I was looking at, but he got taken before me. So I take Mike Evans right here and feel pretty good about it in the 5th round.
Yeah, 5th round for Mike Evans. To me, that's the lowest you've seen him in the past 5-6 seasons. So here is a tough position. So I got myself 2 wide receivers. I went back-to-back there. Obviously, I'd still like to get myself – only 4 tight ends have been off the board, which is pretty unique, especially for sleeper, if anybody's done a sleeper mock draft around here. So I think this is going to be a position where I'm going to try and take one of the last guys who I think is going to be a top 5 guy, but is outside the top 5 ADP-wise for tight ends. And there's a running back here that I love as a running back too because it is a pure volume play. So you're going to see me go here, and I'm going to take James Conner. Because who else is going to touch the ball in Arizona? And I'm going to go with Darren Waller, the wide receiver 1 for the New York Giants.
Big moves.
Miles Sanders was the other running back I thought about taking there. I just like James Conner, even though Arizona is supposed to be worse than Carolina. Again, James Conner is a very good running back, and he's done it year after year. If he can stay healthy.
James Conner is taller than all their receivers.
It's very true. Miles Sanders.
What was that question I asked you about the Giants before the camera started rolling? I was just curious if you remember that.
Oh, I don't actually. I don't. You want to re-ask it?
Yeah, I think it had. Yeah. Do you think the Giants will get 5 wins this season?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
27-0 at halftime.
It's going to be every other game outside of the NFC East, but yeah, I do. I think so.
And besides Waller, who's Daniel Jones going to throw the ball to?
Honestly, I mean, not to take over Nick's time. Nick, make sure you have your pick ready. But there's players he's going to throw to. Waller, just to be honest, Waller's a mismatch. He's a unicorn. The guy's showing that he can put up 1,000 yards. I'm putting my bets that he's going to be healthy for the season. And if I have to play the waiver wire, I'm just as good as playing the waiver wire as I would have if I waited to 10th.
He has the widest range of outcomes, though. He could be their leading receiver or also played 3 games.
Yeah, well, you got 15. You got 15 seconds. What are you talking?
I'm gonna roll out. It just set up for me this way. Wasn't looking to completely complete the stack of the onslaught of the Philadelphia Eagles, but you really can't not help but like it. Is why I'm bouncing around in my seat here, and we're going to pick up DeAndre Swift there and complete the onslaught
again. So you say
the Maple Eagles?
Well, yeah.
Shoving value down everybody's throat. I mean, DeAndre Swift in the 6. How do you not love that value?
Well, and you said it about Waller. There's a big range of outcomes for him too as well. There, he could be the leading guy in Philly, or he could be the afterthought in Philly. So I like it, but he's your number 2.
Rashad Penny's there, which is true, but I think they brought him in for a reason.
Judy goes after him. Dallas Goedert, another tight end off the board. Over to Chris, who does have a tight end. What are we doing here, bud?
I do have a tight end. This is true.
Prove it.
This is a family show. This is a family show.
It's a family show.
But is it really?
But is it?
So shoes no more.
Here's where the 0 running back strategy. This is one of the troubles that I have with it sometimes is that when there goes on runs and there's a couple of guys you like down there and you're left with 1 or 2 guys that you like but you really don't love, this is kind of the situation I'm in, and I'm kind of inclined to have to take a running back here. There are wide receivers that I still like, but if 1 or 2 of these guys go, then I'm going to be SOL on a running back that's going to get any kind of volume work. And I'm going to be left with backup. So I'm going to go Rachaad White.
Nice.
Nope. I did.
Yep. You got White. I would have changed it anyway. Rachaad White, again, similar situation to Miles Sanders, similar situation to Cam Akers. No real competition back there. So Kyle Pitts goes afterwards. Jesse, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I was trying to ask you about the Giants to see if I could draw the timeout long enough that Nick wouldn't be able to get in his pick, but that didn't work. So that strategy failed. But I only have 1 wide receiver. I have 3 running backs, a tight end. So just trying to fill out my roster here. There's a couple good running backs that are still out there. but there's a little bit of questions, right, with Javonte and Alvin Kamara. So it's like, do I go with the fourth? But I know I want a wide receiver. There's Mike Williams. As a Chargers fan, that's so tempting. However, I have divorced myself from the fan in me. And there's someone I actually like more that's going to blow up this year, and that's Ayuk.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Ayuk as my wide receiver too.
That's a great pick.
And that's difficult because I want Mike Williams on my team, but
I just want everybody out there who's listening to know.
27-0 at halftime, just heartbreak. That really.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out. What was that?
It's all right. I'm a Jets fan. That's all you have to say.
I just want everybody
I haven't seen the playoffs in 10 years.
I just want everybody to know Brandon Ayuk.
This is why I play fantasy football.
Brandon Ayuk in the 6th
I'm a
round
Chargers fan.
is a absolute steal. I project him to be the wide receiver 1 for the San Francisco 49ers. And we know that there's a scoring offense there. And if you can get the wide receiver 1 for that team, it's solid. And the fact that you get him in the 6th round is a steal to me. So that's a big win for you, Jess. Hollywood Brown, Trevor Lawrence, Kamara, and Williams round out the 6th round. 7th round starts with Dak, Mike Williams, Pittman, and David Montgomery, all before you.
Yeah, so there's so now I feel like I got like my solid core, got like my solid producer. So now I kind of like want to feel a little risky. Maybe the double IPA's kicking in a little bit, but I'm gonna go with the rookie here. I'm gonna go with JSN and start to build out that wide receiver group right there.
JSN before Tyler Lockett.
Over Tyler Lockett. That is right. Tyler Lockett with injuries. I really like the Seattle Seahawks offense. I like what Geno did last year, given they didn't really play against like anyone, win any games against any defense that was too strong. But this guy was an absolute stud in college, and you got to take a chance on some of these rookie wide receivers in the 7th round.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also the Wookiee wide receivers, because they're really good too. They're really tall and they can catch everything.
Keep jawing. Keep running your mouth over there, Mr. 0RB. Keep going. All right, what are we doing? What are we doing here? You got Deshaun Watson coming afterwards.
50 seconds. Stop talking because I got to talk about what I'm thinking here. Okay, so really it comes down to 2 players. There's Isaiah Pacheco at running back, and there's Tyler Lockett. And I have Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins, but having that 3rd wide receiver that's going to go for 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, gotta love it.
Yep.
And to get him in the 7th round, gotta love it even more.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Tyler Lockett right here.
Smart play, smart pick. Pacheco goes right afterwards.
Pacheco goes right next.
Yep. Deontay Johnson now to Nick.
I could say fuck on here, right?
Yeah.
Team 9.
Is Dallas Goedert still available?
Team 9 just fucked me.
Yeah.
I was going to go Deontay Johnson right there too.
Is Dallas Goedert still available?
That's actually fine. That actually
Rashad Penny.
What that allows me to do right here in the 7th round, which is a round where we're just looking for value. There's actually a lot of things down here that I do like. But I'm a firm believer in spark scores, talent, just overall athletic profile, freakiness. And if you saw George Pickens make that finger tip catch, I'm going to stay on my brand here, which is what he did last year, and pick George Pickens, expecting, despite the just complete shade that's being thrown on this offense, I think they're going to get it together. I think Kenny Pickett's going to take a step forward with his little hands and 2 gloves. And that's why I'm going to go George Pickens there.
I like it. Yeah. Christian Kirk, the guy who I was hoping would fall to me, another 1,000-yard multi-touchdown, kind of similar to Tyler Lockett player, and now he's not going to get any top coverage, even though he doesn't get a ton of top coverage out of the slot. He's not going to get top coverage there with Ridley there. Goes before me. But here's the thing I like to do in the 7th and 8th round, and the fact that I'm at 12, I love it because it really lets me get a solid player here. And the 7th or 8th round, just like Jesse did, I like to take a chance on somebody. Jump up to get somebody I like, maybe a rookie, somebody that could give me good value. And so I'm going to lock in 2 picks that are possibly going to give me good value. And I'm going to first go with James Cook. I want the guy who's projected to be RB1 in Buffalo. Even if he splits carries, he's the more dynamic player out of the 2. So hoping that he hits. And if he's my flex, he could end up even being my RB2. Now I want to go with somebody who's going to implant himself into an offense that is high-flying, air raid offense.
High
And-
flying air raid offense.
He puts himself in, I believe, as the number 2 guy there. KJ Osborne, yeah, here there, but Jordan Addison is going to lock up that wide receiver 2 position.
He came in as the number 2, and he's going to be the number 1.
So that's where I'm going to take my big risk is Jordan Addison as my wide receiver 3. I was for those wondering, I was thinking about Brandon Cooks, another guy who every time he's changed teams goes for 1K, and I was thinking about Tony, just pairing him with my quarterback and doing a little bit of stack there, but I just can't trust the health of Kadarius Toney.
Mm-hmm.
Traylon Burks goes afterwards.
What I'm looking to do here now in the 8th, Jono, and everybody else is I'm taking a look around and seeing what do people need, right? And I'm looking at Jesse's team, and he doesn't have a quarterback. So what I'm going to do here is just be a complete asshole and say, you know, who's the best guy sitting here? I think that for me, that's Aaron Rodgers. Want to get a piece of that offense? Why not just fuck Jesse in the process? Let's go ahead and take Aaron Rodgers here and allow him to have to take some of the things that are there, which there aren't bad, but hopefully, Tua doesn't get back to him. Maybe Chris wants to get in on the action. Sorry, it's not a personal thing. If whoever was employing that strategy would have caught the other end of that.
Jahan Dotson goes afterwards, then A.J. Dillon. I will say you're right on brand, Nick, because you tend to do something as the draft gets a little bit slow for you. You tend to do moves like this, and it doesn't always work out for you. Just going to point it out there. But anyway, I digress. Chris on the clock, minute left. What are you doing here?
Well, there's so I'm going to get a third running back, and that's kind of where my head is. And I want to save Bobby 2 shots for Jesse just to complete the trifecta of Biggie and Tupac. But
very nice. I love that.
So I want to save that for him. So I'm going to go ahead and draft the next guy down in ADP, who happens to be the reigning rushing touchdown leader from last year. And if anything happens to Kamara, this guy is going to just absolutely crush it because there's only Taysom Hill to really compete with there. So I'm going to go and grab the most lovable character in the NFL, and that's Jamal Williams.
Yep, that's a good one.
Big Pokemon fan. Big
Naruto? What's that anime?
Naruto?
Yeah, he's big on that. Kadarius Toney goes next. Jesse, on the clock here, quarterback list, but having 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and the best tight end in football. What are your thoughts here? 8th round. Is this too early for your quarterback, or are you going to keep riding it?
Well, Sleeper's ADP for quarterbacks is very high, and all you guys have your quarterbacks, and I already drafted a tight end. So kind of my strategy was if I'm drafting a tight end and the first couple of rounds are one of those elite guys, I'm going to have to wait on a quarterback because I want to build out my team with running backs and wide receivers. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. But I still am going to hold off on quarterback for this pick, maybe the next round. But there's, as a Chargers fan, and I have red hair, so I think there's only like 7 of us in the entire world. That's how rare this is. So this is special. I'm going to go with that Chargers rookie wide
love
receiver.
It. Love Quentin.
Big body.
I was hoping he would fall to me in the 9th because I do like that pick because there's a chance he kind of overtakes the Mike Williams show there. If you can say healthier than Mike Williams. So I like it. Njoku afterwards, Evan Ingram after that. Juju for New England, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas in the 9th. It's wild the 2019 receiving leader is down in the 9th round now. Freiermuth, Gibson, and Tua goes right before you, who I thought would have been a great pick in the 9th for you.
Yeah, there's Tua. Obviously, last year was kind of a disaster for him. The NFL kept letting that guy go out onto the field, and that was difficult to watch. But at least from like a playing standpoint, when he was on the field, it was pretty incredible. But there's another quarterback that was drafted, the Florida Gator, Anthony Richardson. I'm going to go ahead and pick him as my quarterback this year. I think that the goal line carries are going to get robbed from Jonathan Taylor. And from a fantasy standpoint, I want touchdowns.
I concur.
So I'm going to go with Anthony Richardson.
I concur. That's Chris and I just talked about that on our little talk about our running back rankings, why someone like Jonathan Taylor's not in front is because of that chance. Dalton Schultz goes after. I know Chris is a big fan of that guy. Moving on, Chris is up in the 9th round.
I got my three running backs who I feel pretty comfortable with, and there are some guys there that I still really like, but I really do think that they're going to kind of swing around to me. There's going to be one of those guys still available. There's a wide receiver that this is exactly we've talked about him as kind of our breakout candidate this year, and he's sitting there, and I don't think he's going to come back to me. So I'm going to reach a little bit and grab him. And there's still guys like, all the Baltimore receivers are still available. Gabe Davis, Cortland Sutton, they're still available. But Elijah Moore in Cleveland is one of my breakout candidates this year, and I absolutely love him. And to get him in the 9th round is exactly where I want to get him. And that's value right there.
So afterwards, Brian Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, which I wanted him to fall to me. And that's the tough part about being in the 12 spot and even in Nick's spot at 10 is you're just watching people get plucked off the board. Charbonnet's a young talent that could possibly break into the offense in a big way. Nick, what are you doing here? You just got your second quarterback. You only have 2 wide receivers, 2 running back, or 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. Sorry, only 2 running backs. Are you looking at getting a running back here?
I got 2 running backs. I got 2 wide receivers. So in these final 2
you got
rounds,
3. You got AJ Brown. Don't forget. It's cut off on the list a little bit. But.
Okay. Watch your mouth when you're talking to me, John. So what I'm going to do in that case is that I'm going to.
He was only his first round pick.
I'm going to go A-Chain right here. Let's jump into the rookie. Progress here. Not the right word, but like the explosiveness on this guy.
Spark athlete.
He stays true to the brand with the rumors that are coming out of camp on him. I'd like to get a piece of that offense, and I allow myself to do that here with Devin.
Are the rumors that he's fast?
The rumor is that he was asked if he could still fly when he was drafted immediately.
He's fast.
All right, so there's 2 things.
He's off the chain. For
yeah.
Jesse, you should name your team Mixing Around with Guns.
You need to get off that subject. You need to just cool the jets. You come up with your team name. So
someone do a background check on Chris, please.
Please, FBI. Anyway, 9th round. This is a 10-round draft, so in case anybody was wondering. So these are my last 2 picks here. So I've got 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. I'm not going to take a second tight end because I don't want to waste any draft capital on another tight end. I got my quarterback. Don't need a second one of those. I'm going to go here with a guy who's got high upside in offense with a running back who's coming off a big injury, and that's Samaje Perine. To me, him and Cook give me an opportunity for a great flex position while Addison's getting used to the offense. And now I'm going to pick a guy that I think is going to have a possible breakout season just because they finally put weapons around him. And his quarterback just got paid a big money, and that's going to be Rashad Bateman. They drafted him high in the draft for a reason. Odell Beckham's only on a 1-year deal. Zay Flowers, they did draft in the first round as well, but he's an inside guy, and you got Bateman as an outside guy. I like the chance for him to finish as the wide receiver 1 for Baltimore this year. Cole Kmet goes afterwards. Nick, final pick of this 10-round draft.
So I think here I was looking at Bateman, so it kind of confuses things for me. But seeing as I have George Kittle, Cole Kmet got taken right in front of my face, so never mind that. Regardless, I think I'm gonna bolster the tight end so that I don't have to go to the waiver when George Kittle inevitably goes down. Like the hair, like the mustache, like the new coach here. So I'm gonna go with Greg Dulcich.
It's a good solid pick.
Thank you.
If anything, you got trade bait for somebody who does have a tight end that goes down.
Emerging young tight end, like what we saw last year.
Dalton Kincaid, talk about young tight end going right afterwards. And then Gabe Davis, who has fallen far from grace from a couple years past in the drafts. What are we doing here, 10th round, Chris?
No, I mean, there's so many guys that I still like here.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, this is a 10-round draft.
It's only a 10-round draft. So
our next one we'll do 12, just for the sake to show everybody, there are some people out there that are still good.
Yeah, like I mean, like Cortland Sutton's still available, so he's best available right now. Well, actually, that's not true. Rashad Penny probably would be, but I look down and there's Nico Collins still available, Odell Beckham still available, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers.
I love Lazard.
But I need to get another, because I went the 0 running back strategy. I need to get another bolstered running back, and this is a guy that's he's I really like what he did towards the second half of the season, and I've talked about it. It's like at this position, you're if you're fighting between a couple different players, is like, what offenses do you like better? And so I'm going to get Jerick McKinnon because I want a piece.
Great pick.
I want a piece of this offense, and if I can go and grab him, and he can be a flex player, or anything happens to Pacheco, McKinnon's a guy that you can throw there and as a flex player every week, and we've seen him throw up 20-point weeks.
And
easily,
I did it
weeks in a row.
That's
actually
what
great
took me to the championship. That's a great pick. It's a great pick. Like it. Rashad Penny goes afterwards. One of the other guys you named. Jesse, who are you closing out this draft with?
Yes, because I went with Anthony Richardson. Obviously, we don't know how that's going to translate. I like to, if I'm going to take like a risk on a quarterback, if there was a couple more rounds, I'm going to be looking to pick a safer quarterback just in case that doesn't pan out. Someone like Daniel Jones or Geno Smith. Maybe even Russell Wilson this year, later in this draft, someone like Jared Goff, but because it's only 10 rounds, you won't see that, but I at least wanted to explain that strategy of going with someone like that and then picking a safe. So I got my safe and upside pick, but for my last pick, in this one, I'm going with Zay Flowers. I'm going to go with the rookie. Yeah. From Baltimore. The guy, he was unreal in college. He's so fast. So, and Lamar, I love it. Yeah. So if you look at the beginning of my squad, I mean, everyone's like a solid player, has been in the league for a few years. So I feel like I can take a chance later on. And if some of these guys hit, my team's going to be explosive. My team's going to do really well. But that's kind of the strategy, is going with these safe, high floor guys that are going to produce every week. But if I can get one of these rookies to come in and some of them hit, my team should put up a lot of points.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and let's to close out the draft here, I'll go through everybody's roster, and everybody kind of just pick who your favorite pick was, just based on where you got them in value. Here I've got starting with Jesse. How about that? Start with Jesse. You got QB Anthony Richardson, Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon as your running backs, with Pierce as your flex, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Ayuk as your wide receiver 1 and 2, Travis Kelce as your tight end, and your bench is JSN, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers. Which would be your favorite pick of your draft here?
Yeah, it's tough not to go with one of the rookies because, like Chris just said, I went with several of them back-to-back towards the later part of this 10-round draft. But I think that it being June, I'm really excited about getting Tony Pollard in the 3rd round. I think that as this season goes on and Zeke Elliott, he's going to sign probably somewhere. If he doesn't go with the Cowboys, more than likely it could be our 1st-round pick. So for this time of the year in the draft, I got to be pretty excited about having Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, and having a potentially a very high RB1 in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I like it. Chris, let's move on to yours. Give me 1 second. I'll get over to your team. You got Josh Allen at QB, Cam Akers, Rachaad White, and everybody, just a reminder, he went 0 RB here. So Cam Akers, Rachaad White is RB 1 and 2. Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Tyler Lockett as your 3 wide receivers, one of them being a flex. T.J. Hawkinson as your tight end, and you've got Jamal Williams, Elijah Moore, and Jerick McKinnon as your bench spots. Who's your favorite pick of this draft?
It's actually like it's really difficult to say what my favorite pick is, because there's a couple that I really like. I'll tell you what I really liked. I liked getting Jamal Williams in the 8th. I liked getting Elijah Moore in the 9th, and then I liked getting T. Higgins in the 3rd. I think T. Higgins is such a great value to have in the 3rd round. Completely agree with Jesse. It's like, if you get Tony Pollard and you get these 2nd-round guys that seem to fall to you in the 3rd round, you absolutely have to love. I think the 3rd round is kind of where you can make or break your draft. Mm-hmm. And when those guys fall and there's value there, you go and take it. Because I implemented the 0 running back strategy, like having a guy like T. Higgins as my wide receiver 2 to get him in the 3rd round, but still have Cooper Kupp in the 1st, Josh Allen in the 2nd, that's great value. But you look later in the draft in like 8, 9 to get guys like Jamal Williams and get guys like Elijah Moore who have such high upside to them, and to get them kind of in those later mid-tier or mid-rounds. I absolutely love those guys there.
Nick, moving on to you. You got Jalen Hurts, Dalvin Cook, and DeAndre Swift as your 2 top running backs. A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and George Pickens round out your 2 wide receivers in your flex. George Kittle, tight end spot. You doubled up on quarterback with Aaron Rodgers. You have Devon A-Chain, the spark athlete, and you got doubled up on tight end with Greg Dulcich to hinge your bets on the tight end spot.
So basically what you're saying is I won, right? Just take a look at my team. It's kind of looking down at all your other teams. You scrap together.
Yeah.
But I think the question was, what's my favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite?
That has nothing to do with again, sanctions are being looked into against your championship. Just want you to know.
When you're the best manager, you win.
So
best.
I won with Jared Goff.
You won also with Jerick McKinnon, didn't you?
No, I had Jerick McKinnon in the championship against him. I lost by 16.
But I got to go. I'm going to be ringing the same sentiments that everybody has here on the panel here, which is my 3rd round draft pick. That's Dalvin Cook. I think the value and the whispers about where he might go, and in fact, I think he's going. He's out here liking tweets for the Patriots. I think him and Diop we could see in New England, and he'll push that little Ramondre Stevenson right aside and just be the big dog in there, and that would be very satisfying, just personally on a personal level as him as a keeper. So
you're gonna have Deshaun Watson in the 15th too.
Yeah.
Well, you might need to because you might not want to keep Stevenson. So anyway, that's what I'm going with.
All right. Rounding out my team here, I got Pat Mahomes, which I love as the quarterback there because he's going to finish top 4 regardless. Nick Chubb, my 3 overall. Connor as my 2nd running back, which arguably could be my favorite pick. But you've got Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, flex James Cook. I went Darren Waller as my tight end. I went Addison as my first bench, Samaje Perine, and Rashad Bateman. It's kind of a little bit of a tie. I like a lot of my picks here, but I think I took
set you up for this. John, tell us about your best. Tell us about your favorite pick.
Yeah. So I'd say it's kind of a tie right here between Bateman and Connor. To get James Conner with the volume he has and his knack for the end zone, I don't care how little Arizona is projected to score. You saw what he did without Kyler Murray and without D-Hop in previous games and seasons. I think he's still going to be a top-end running back in the league. He could finish top 12 even possibly. To get him the 5th or 6th round, just as you can see, I took him 5th instead of 6th. Doesn't really matter at the turn. But then Rashad Bateman. The fact that all the Baltimore wide receivers are falling that far down in ADP because nobody really knows who's going to get theirs. Even if it's across the board, I expect that to be a pass-heavy offense moving forward. I think you're still going to get the rushing out of Lamar Jackson, but Bateman is drafted as a big X-style wide receiver, and I think they're going to continue to try and get him the ball that way. And Zay Flowers is going to take a little pressure off of him as well, and same with Mark Andrews. I think all 3 of those guys are going to do well, and I think Odell Beckham, I love the guy, ex-Giant. He's probably going to be the smokescreen on that team. So getting Bateman in the 10th round, I think, is just awesome because he's going to be a bye-week helper, and he could even move into my flex. So, well, gentlemen, thank you for joining our podcast today for the draft, the mock draft. We'll have to get you back on again here soon. Everybody who tuned in today's draft, don't forget to like, subscribe, click that notification button. And if you have any thoughts on our draft and who you think out of the 4 of us won, feel free to leave a comment. Thanks, y'all.
All right, guys. Thank you. I look forward to it.